You guys have to understand what the ego is truly, okay? And what happens. The ego is like your identity, and it's usually something that keeps you feeling comfortable and it keeps you feeling safe. So a lot of the time people create their ego, okay, their solar plexus, through external things. You don't want to do that. You want to get that information internally. That's what I mean. Like, you have to be able to validate yourself internally. Most people can't do that. So they create their identity on external things. As soon as one thing is spinning out of control, it triggers the ego. But instead of people being in that moment of discomfort and pushing through that feeling to get to the other side, okay, so this can happen. Let's say you lose a job. Let's say you go through a breakup. This is why a lot of the time people break up and get back together. They can't get over that hump of the discomfort during that unknown period, because the ego, the identity, has created such a strong identity through that thing, which is usually external, which could be the person, which could be the relationship, and so on and so forth. So people, like everyone, has to be very careful to see what are they creating their ego and their identity through, because when that thing is no longer in your life, you're gonna have the pull to go back to that thing, okay? Whether it's the job, whether it is the colleagues, whether it is the friends, the lover, whoever, okay? But you have to push through that feeling of discomfort when you end it. Okay, you're gonna have that buffer zone where you're like disoriented almost energetically. And that's where the energetic collapse happens. Okay, you have to push through that and get to the other side. Okay, and that's how you overcome it. Okay, is really what it is. So that's the struggle with the ego, because the ego can be so strong, and that's why sometimes people don't want to leave things, situations, okay, cities, countries, people, jobs, whatever, because you've created your identity, okay, through that thing. And a lot of people don't have the strength to be in that period of limbo where it's like, what's going on? You know what I mean? You have to kind of push through that. And then when you push through it, you develop the solar plexus, the confidence in the self. It's no longer on the external person, okay? So then whoever and whatever comes into your life, you're like, okay, that's fine. You know, it's there or it's not there, like whatever. But I was trying to say with a push through, anytime you leave something or end something, okay? Because the struggle is, first of all, it's a struggle to leave or end the thing because you created an identity through that thing. It's connected to the ego, the solar plexus chakra. This is what happens to people who don't create their identity from within. Okay, you have to know who you are truly on that soul level. Otherwise, you're always going to externalize the energy on the job, the status, the name, the label. So sometimes you have to separate yourself, okay, from whatever it is, okay? Because those are external things. Those are temporary things. That's not the soul, okay? The soul isn't a doctor. The soul is the soul. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I'm trying to say. So when you go through, and I guess this can be called an ego death sometimes, okay? Sometimes, you know, people call this in psychology, they call it narcissistic collapse. I'm not saying that, you know, people are narcissists, but to me, the ego and the shadow is very closely connected to narcissism or that energy, okay? And that's just my own opinion, and I'm not a psychologist, and that's my disclaimer. So when you go through the ego death, you separate from that thing. So this is who you thought you were, and this happens to people. Oh, I worked at this job for 15 years, I did this career, and the more you invest time into it, it's like you feel like, again, you can't leave it. This is why you guys have to start testing yourselves to be able to exit the situation. Let's say you leave it, you leave that thing. So this is the identity. This was you and the identity. You leave it now. You're trying to move forward. You're going to go through this buffer period of time where you will feel pulled back to that thing. You'll feel pulled back to the person, back to the job. Okay. You'll feel pulled back to the city, the country, you know, whatever. Okay. You'll feel pulled back. Okay? Unless you're distracted. Sometimes you're distracted. So this might happen after, like, let's say it's a job, you got a new job, maybe you don't feel pulled back, right? Because maybe you're distracted with the new job. But let's say there's that period of time where you made the conscious decision, okay? And this sometimes happens for people. You can do it consciously, or if it's time to go, the universe will push you out of it. That's when you feel that discomfort bubble where you're like, oh, I miss this person, because you romanticize. That's what you guys have to understand. The mind plays tricks, okay? It remembers the good and it romanticizes you. I miss that person. I miss that job. I miss that city, whatever. You have to push through that buffer time. And that's how you get to the other side is really what it is. So that's what I'm saying. You have to push through the discomfort, okay, of being in that state of limbo, not knowing what's next, where you're gonna go, whatever. That's kind of what I was trying to explain.